Welcome to the video. This video is going to be the first of a series of videos in which we're going to be looking at n8n.io. n8n.io is a secure AI native workflow automation. And they say that the world's most popular workflow automation platform for technical teams. And of course, if you look at some of these names, they've got some big clients. So it's impressive. You can get started for free. You can use the trial membership. It is a cost platform, so we'll get rid of the annual discount to look at what its monthly cost really is. So the starter is $24 a month, and you get one shared project, unlimited users, forum support. You get 2.5K workflow executions with unlimited steps. And then 5 active workflows and unlimited test ones. The Pro, you get more, optimal for team collaboration to run more workflows. So this is a good, if you're going to be collaborating for a big company and you got a lot more going on, this is probably the good option for you. And they have different price, points for that as well. And you can use a custom plan. So if you're a business, you might want to look into that. If you are a single developer or freelancer or whatever, you might want to look into this. So with that, we can go back to the homepage here, and we'll scroll down and just kind of glance over what they have here. So they're showing you examples of different sort of scenarios in which you can use their workflow platform. So the workflow looks like this. These sort of blocks here are referred to as nodes. The little lightning is a trigger node, and we'll go more into nodes and what they do and how to use them and into the video. But this sort of just gives you some examples of how you could use it in different sort of scenarios or different industries, DevOps, SecOps, even in sales for marketing and whatnot. So very, very powerful program. There's a lot you can really do. You can go to the website, you can go through and read more about it. They have a great documentation, in the great community. And let's go ahead and sign in and get started. Now, what we're going to be building here in this series is a API backend for a to-do application. And it's going to be a simple backend. We'll go ahead and we're starting at the dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and just open my workspace. And so for the testing of this API, we're going to be using a platform called Postman. And so if you're not familiar with Postman, it is a sort of tool or platform you can use to test APIs and servers, and it's got a lot of use cases. It is a phenomenal platform or tool to use. I would definitely suggest downloading it. And there are others like it that are pretty close, but it's one of my favorites. I've been using it for many, many years. So it's a good piece of software. So you can go ahead and go to postman.com and download it and follow along. Let's go back to the workflows. So instead of having a MySQL or a MySQL or a Postgres or whatever database, we're going to be using Google Spreadsheet as our database. So I'm going to go over to our Google Spreadsheet here, and I've went ahead and created a to-do list spreadsheet, and I've given it the column title of ID, title, description, and status. So for our to-do, we can give it a title, but we can also give it a description if we want. So just playing around. And let's go ahead and go into our n8n, and we're going to go ahead and start by clicking Add Workflow. Once you click Add Workflow, you are in the workflow. And at this point, you can move this node around if you're going to be using that. This again is a trigger node, so this is going to be triggering the start of things, but we're going to be using a web hook so that our API, our URL can hit that and process our code from there. So there's two ways you can click this or click up here. It basically gives you the same place. This is the very first one, so it puts it there. We're going to go ahead and type in webhook, and we'll click that. And of course, it opens up the node and puts you down into edit mode. First thing we're going to do is change the HTTP method to post. And then we're going to change this crazy long path to add, keep it simple. Once you do this, it goes ahead and it populates this URL with the endpoint that you need. So this is the endpoint URL you will be using to access this backend to add a to-do. We're not going to go into authentication, and of course, response will be immediately. We'll just leave that as is. We will click this and copy it to our URL or our clipboard. We're going to go back to the canvas right now, and then I'm going to go over to Postman. So if you've gotten Postman installed and set up, just follow along. First thing I'm going to do is create a collection, and we will call this n8n. Here we go. And I want to create a request, and we will call this Add Todo. We'll change it to a post, and we'll paste our URL here. So with Postman, the way you send it, you can use parameters or params. You can do authorization. So it's got all types of authorization and authentication options there. We're not going to be creating tokens or doing any of that. We're not going to mess with the headers. We're just going to go straight to the body. And you look over here to a option called raw. You want to choose raw, and then you want to make sure that JSON is chosen. And then we're going to go ahead and type in our JSON here. So we're going to go title. We're going to give our, as we saw on the spreadsheet, we need title. So we'll just call this to-do 1. And next we're going to need a description field. So we'll just call this, this is a to-do. There you go. All right, that's really all we need right now for this. So we'll go ahead and save that. And then we're going to go back to our n8n workflow. I'm going to go ahead and move this webhook over here. So with this webhook, the next thing we need to do is go ahead and set up the fields that we're getting from that from the webhook. So we need to go ahead and get these fields right here. So we'll go ahead and hit this plus icon, and then we're going to set up our fields. So we're going to type in set, which is the edit fields here. And the first thing I want to do is change the name of this, and we'll just call this set add fields. Okay, I'll rename that. And we are going to need these, add some fields here. The first thing you're going to want to do is change this to an expression. We're going to need the ID. Okay, and we're going to click in this value, and we're going to press equals, and then I'm going to go ahead and type in some code here. So we're going to get the JSON and get the body. Oops. And we're going to ID. Okay. Now I want to copy this because I want to. So you see that we have an ID here, but if we go over here, we're not sending an ID. So we want to be able to receive a null value. So we'll go ahead and set that. And so next we need to go ahead and get a title. I'm going to do this. Let me see. Yeah, that makes it, well, okay. So no, it didn't do that. One of the pains of working with this is when you go to click the expression there, it pops up to the other one. So you have to time it just right. So title. Okay. So next we're going to go ahead and click our equal sign again, and we will add in, I'm just pasting that, and I'm going to type in title here. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and get our description. And so hard to match that. What a horrible, horrible design. That's the only thing in this whole project this platform I don't like, is just trying to get that. So go ahead and do equals, and we are going to paste that in, and then we'll change this to description. Okay. And that's all we need for these right now. So we'll go ahead and back to our canvas. We got those fields set up. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and connect to our spreadsheet. So we'll just type in sheet here, and then we'll narrow it down to Google spreadsheet, or Google Sheets. And so what we need to do is click this right here where it says Get Rows in Sheets. So we're going to click that. We'll go ahead and rename this to Get Add Rows. Okay, so perfect, and it shows what we need to go ahead and fill out because everything else is set. So we need to choose our to-do list, and then the first tab, which is or whatever tab you want to be selecting from, and we're doing the first one, which is sheets. So from here we don't need to do anything else. That's good. No, wait, I take that back. We need to go into settings. Okay, so when we first pull this, we're getting back nothing, right? So it's trying to pull all the rows. And the reason why it's trying to pull all those rows, it's going to tally that up, and we're going to use that to create an ID. But our when it first calls that, it's getting no rows. So if we don't say always, always output data, and instead of stopping the flow, continue, it would break this. It breaks the system. So we want to go ahead and make sure you do always data, and on error, continue. So, all right. Another thing I didn't mention is whenever you do this, it's automatically saving. You don't have to save your work. So that's really nice. All right. So next we're going to move into our code node. Okay. So for the code node, I went ahead and already created the code. So we're just going to replace all this with our code right here. And basically the code is doing exactly what I said. It's going through, it's going to get all it's going to get the IDs from the spreadsheet, and then it's going to get the data from the fields that we sent in. So if we go back here, we see the webhook. That's what is used to connect to the API, right? It's the tunnel or the door, and then we're setting up the fields that are coming in from the fields that we set up here, and then we're going to Google and saying, are there any rows? And then we're looking for how many rows there are, how many IDs. So whatever the most recent ID is, we want to add one to that. So our next ID is going to add to that. So we're adding the one to what we get there. And then we're using that value, that next ID value, as our value for our data for the new to do, right? All right, so I will be providing this code, of course, in the documentation. Now, I mean, in the comment, or not the comments, the description below. So next, let's go ahead and test this out. So I'm going to go ahead and click Test Workflow, and this sort of activates everything. So now it says it's waiting for a trigger event, which is what we're going to provide. So we'll go back over to Postman, and we're going to click Send. So we've got this data here. It says workflow has started, so that's a good sign. And we've got check marks all the way across, and it's all green. That's a good sign also. Let's go ahead and just click and open this, and let's look at what we've created. So we've created this to-do right here, and so we've got the ID. It generated an ID of 1, and then it got the to-do 1, and this is a to-do from our data here. Okay, perfect. So next, we need to get this generated to-do into our spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and click to add a new node. Of course, we're going to do another sheet. So we'll click on Google Sheet. Now this time, instead of, oh, whoops, I hit the wrong one. Yeah, okay, I opened it. What did I do? I chose the wrong line. Let's see. Let me go ahead and do that. Let's go back here. All right. So this time, instead of reading, we're going to go ahead and append. So we're going to add. So we'll just click append here, and then we'll click to-do list, our sheet, and then our document in the sheet. And from here, I'm going to scroll up, And then we're going to start dragging in the status. So that's our generated ID. This is the title that we sent. This is the description and the status also generated from the code. And again, that code will be in the description. Now we can go ahead and test this. So if we click test this step, this should send our to-do. So it's showing this, and that's node executed successfully. So it looks like it sent. Let's go back over. And sure enough, here is our node. So let's go back to our canvas. And for this is going to be the first step in the first video. In the next video, what we're going to be looking into is how to update this. So we'll go ahead and create a workflow similar to this, but it'll be updating it. And then after that, we'll go ahead and submit or create a workflow to delete and remove that. So hope you look forward to the next video. Until then, have a good one. Bye.